And it ended. It ended. All right?
And going back to
Sure.
Ezekiel, the 4th chapter,
Uh-huh.
where it talks about him laying on his side.
The 390?
Yeah, right.
Right, exactly.
But all of it brings us around to the same date, but roughly, that count, it should end up somewhere around between 2019, 2024. Around, it's because the Gregorian calendar will push forward 5 years. That kind of throw the count off, if we just want to count from that particular calendar. But that's why they say give or take 5 years, because of the calendar being pushed back 5 years. So that's why they roughly count, it comes out around between 2019 and 2024.
And that's pretty much what I had too. 2019, again, I'm not telling
Not
nobody.
saying-
Exactly. We don't want to get into that. But I would say that those years are going to be very, very critical. And we don't have as much time, I believe, as a lot of people might think. This is the reason why. Make sure that you live each and every day to the fullest, because tomorrow is not guaranteed. Yes.
I mean, but even if whether we had, let's say everybody got different calendars and all that, us having those blood moons when we had them was an assurance that we getting closer to one day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And plus the Father, even Mashiyach explained to us that he would even have to cut the time short.
Yeah.
He would have to cut the time short. So,
And also remember, he promised Abraham, he said, know for assurance, your seed shall what?
Be a stranger.
Be a stranger land for 400 years.
Right.
More explained how that darkness that fell upon them. What Abraham saw.
Right.
And then the 400 years, that says key for the United States government to come out and pass legislation commemorating the 400th year anniversary of exactly.
Exactly.
All of it, it falls into place and it lines up just in time.
He said we shall come out with great substance. So does that mean that before, like say, it happened in Israel, we gotta look at like 2019 or 2024 around that area, we're gonna be able to start to actually see Yahuah moving with us as far as us being raised up from this lowly state. And not necessarily us leaving immediately. Because a lot of people leaving immediately, or is that you trying to get
Is Israel going to be leaving?
I mean, we're gonna leave America, but a lot of people think when we leave on 2019, when it hits, we're out of here. And I was thinking we still have to be raised up at that point, and then leave.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, it's a lot. It's a whole lot to it, because the book of Revelations even talks about how there's a place prepared for the woman. Okay, and while this woman now is in her travels, it said that the adversary now was right behind her. Right behind her, but the earth opened up as it did in old, okay, when Israel was in the wilderness, when we had, I think it was 3,000 that died during that time. It's about to get real serious.
Isaiah 13.
Okay, Koti,
I was going to say, I mean, we're not just doing this time frame, which isn't far away. We're going to have to be prepared, because you're just not going to wake up tomorrow and know you can shoot somebody for your safety or your brother's safety.
exactly.
So, I mean, this is really the time when, as a congregation, we should start thinking about combat training, that sort of thing, just for our, added,
You're right.
survival.
But even with that, remember how even when he brought Israel out, even when they became an exceedingly great army or whatever, remember they had one thing on their side, which most nations did. None of the nations wanted to contend with, the Ark of the Covenant.
Oh, yeah.
They just went forth. They had something that did the fight for them.
Exactly.
And even when we gave the Ark of the Covenant away and pushed it into another, when they actually took the Ark of the Covenant,
Right.
did they not get rid of it?
Oh, yeah.
They said, you gotta take it.
Exactly.
Yeah, you gotta take this, you gotta come in this today.
Yeah, Absolutely, absolutely.
And
Exactly.
from my understanding, the Ark of the Covenant is supposed to be unearthed again and back in the possession of the hands of Israel.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
The book of Baruch explains that.
Yeah. So there's a lot that's happening. Mr. Carr, you had something?
Isaiah 13.
Isaiah 13.
Share the scripture with them.
Oh, the way that it's read differently. The Father. Yeah, it's talking about Isaiah the 13th chapter, verses 1 through 2. In the 13th chapter, it says, the burden of Babylon, which Isaiah the son of Amos did see, lift you up a banner upon the high mountains, and exalt the voice of them that shake the hand, that they may go down. Is that the one?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was verse
It's actually 3 and 4. I have commanded my sanctified ones, and in the Greek Septuagint, where it says the sanctified ones, it's talking about the giants. Okay, so we're still talking about the messengers, and I have called my mighty ones for my anger, and them that rejoice in my highness. So there's going to be a big battle that's going to take place. But in ending, so I can let everybody go. Maury went to the book of Yahusha, or Jeremiah, the 3rd chapter. Let's see if I can get some focus here. I got to get enough good glasses here.
Yeah, that Isaiah 13, when you start around verse 5 or 6, then read down, it goes into about the woman that prevailed and
Right.
how he was going to cause the elements, the stars and the sun and stuff not to shine. And see, that's what, even when you read and begin to look into things, this is how he's going to, even with these nations and stuff that have these armies and all, when he gets into the element, most of this stuff require energy and stuff in order to function. And so this is how he's going to take down these nations, a lot of it, because he's going to use the elements, everything, they're going to be his weapons.
Exactly.
And his army.
Exactly. And I can, just like you had talked about, I'll put it this way: when it's time to leave, it's time to leave. And the best example of that is when Lot and his family were leaving out of Sodom. And we had the messenger there saying, listen, we got to go. Meaning now is that there's going to be no time to compromise and have a 2 or 3, 4 hour conversation. Why should I leave? What about mommy, daddy, brother, sister? I mean, we don't have time for all of that. It's time to go. And this is the reason why I'm so adamant. I am the way that I am. I'm not like a wait person, because I don't see all of the time that a lot of people believe that we have. Things happen, we have to really keep it moving. Because if you wait, you never know what might happen. Just like in the days of Noah. It comes a time when the Father shuts the door. And I don't want to be left where I'm waiting and waiting when this day should not overcome us as a thief in the night. And what I believe what's happening, the reason why people are so stuck on waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, is because they're not aware of news or things that are happening outside of America.
There you go.
So just because we don't see, things seems to be okay now between North Korea and America, which is not, because that was a big sham. Because what happened now was that the North Korean guy, Hoon Ching Shong, whatever his name is, he didn't stop his nuclear program. He's expanded it and it's gotten bigger. And so when they should say peace, peace, it should be sudden destruction. So we're here to say, Mishmachar, this nuclear war will happen. It's going to happen. When the Father sets out a decree, or when he shoots his arrow, it's not going to return to him void. It will hit the mark. Guaranteed. So these bones will come together. There will be a reunification, just like it tells us in the book of Acts, the 2nd chapter, where the Mashiyach met the Talmudim again. The first thing that the Talmudim asked him,
Yep.
are you come now at this time to restore the Edomites, the Hamites, the Japhethites, and everybody on the planet Earth back together again?
Restore Israel.
Exactly. He had a 40-day seminar. 40 days. Sharing with them that he had not come at that time to restore the kingdom. But it was all pertaining now to the reunification of northern kingdom and southern kingdom, and he taught them this for 40 days. 40 days. Now watch this. He's going to teach you now about reunification for 40 days of northern kingdom and southern kingdom. Why is it that people left, or how can a person leave a 40-day seminar and then the next day say, listen, what was the seminar about? Oh, the seminar was about reunifying, everybody on the planet Earth. But more right now, again, as an example, I taught for 40 days the reunification of Northern Kingdom and Southern Kingdom. The next day, what was the class about? Oh, it's talked about the Edomites coming together with Northern Kingdom and all these other things.
Now all you hear about is the Gentiles now being grafted in.
Yeah, that's what we hear now.
That's it.
And that's why we have to unearth it and dismantle it.
That's right.
We just don't get it. 40 days, it's just like we was in the wilderness, okay, for 40 years. And the Father's teaching us how to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so what happens now is that we're in the land, okay? The Shabbats have to be observed. On the sixth day, you gather a double portion of the manna, because on the seventh day is a day of rest, no gathering. Israel forgets to count. They want to go out there on the seventh day and want to gather. It's just that our brains, the way that we function and operate, that we're very forgetful and absent-minded people. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. As the festivals are. That's what it is. It should be easy by now, because as of now, it was first 40 years and it increased tenfold. 10 times 40 is 400. So the question is now, after 400 years, you got it now? Do you understand what this is about? You have to keep the laws, statutes, and commandments. There is no other way around it. You can't leave this part out, that part out. No, you got to, it's the whole thing. Let's end this now. Let's get rid of this. This glass is holding together here. Watch this. It says now, in verse 3, we're just going to read just one verse and we're done. It said, Jeremiah, the 3rd chapter, verse 1. It has they say, but it's actually now, it is a Hebraic saying. If a man put away his Isha, and she go from him, and become another man's, shall he return unto her again? That's a question. What is the answer to the question?
Yes.
Okay.
You can.
Yes. So they say if a man put away his wife, and she go from him and become another man's. Now, this is Deuteronomy 24, chapter verse 4. So we do know now is that in our culture, when we were living in the land, is that if a woman was caught in adultery, she was put to death. So you can't go back to her anyway, because she was dead. And we don't do that, what's that different things. Remember when all the, when Marilyn Monroe died, they said that she was so holy and set apart. When after she was dead, people were, they brought up her body and there were men having sex with her dead body. Yeah, that whole thing there. So, what they call it? Okay, necrophiliac. Okay, these people that have sex with dead bodies. So I just found it interesting. So again, they say if the man put away his wife, and so again, we see here now is that formality. The man is putting away his wife. Again, and she go from him and become another man. So Deuteronomy 24 and 4. The question then becomes now that this can't be adultery. It can't be adultery, because for adultery now she's put to death. So she can return to him. But if she now goes and she's now with another man,
Correct.
Because the Father said that he come not to destroy the law, but to fulfill it. So now if she becomes another man's ish, which is then, it's still creating a problem. And the reason why it's created a problem is because the Father has espoused, just like we shared last week, he has espoused the Isha to only one husband. Just one. She's not supposed to be going from man to man, more, I call it, I share my Isha, it's called more Hamid. Yeah, that's the new thing now. We want more Hamid. So that's not a practice in Israel. So again, if she go from him and become another man's, shall he return into her again? Which is the question. It says, should not the land, and the woman is compared to as the land, shall not the land be greatly polluted? Well, watch this now. But thou, Israel, hast played the harlot with many lovers, yet return again to me, saith the Father of Yahuah. So again, if a woman goes away from her ish, and let's say now she becomes another man's, can that ish take his isha or his ex back again?
No. According to the law. What about the law of death? The law of death.
Right. Right. That's the reason why we, let's say Deuteronomy 24th chapter, okay, it said if he finds some type of uncleanness in her.
Oh, uncleanness.
Right, in her.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. He can, if he finds some type of uncleanness. Now, remember, if, I think, did you bring out the law of jealousy? Did you talk about that today?
Not to them.
Okay. Now remember now there's a law of jealousy. If a man expects his isha of being with another man, he takes the woman to court and the whole bitter water thing. And what was the first thing that gets attacked in that situation?
That area.
Right, the woman's reproductive organs. Okay, because we know that because the woman, she represents the earth. And so the reason why the Father has espoused us now to only one husband, which is the Mashiyach, and we do know that the Mashiyach at the end of the day is going to now bring us back to the Father. Everything goes back to the Father at the end, every single thing. But what I'm trying to share here now is that just as the Father gave the Isha one husband, it was also the nation of Yashra'al's responsibility to have one husband. Moreh went to the book of the book of Yahuah, the 4th chapter, when it made mention of that this one particular woman, this Samaritan woman now, she had 5 husbands. And the husband that she has now is not her husband. So when we get involved with idolatry, even the man was not supposed to get involved with idolatry. The only way that that man gets redeemed is through the blood of the Mashiyach. So, understanding the festivals and the blood of the Mashiyach, when the Mashiyach died, we died. When the Mashiyach resurrected, we resurrected. But the only way that the Mashiyach was able to take the bride back, the groom had to die. That's the only way. So the question is, it's not a trick question, can an Ish take his Isha back after she's never committed adultery, but she goes with another man? And let's say things doesn't work out in that relationship. Can he take his Isha back again? The reason why I'm bringing this up because this came up.
She never committed adultery.
I
Yeah, she never committed adultery.
didn't commit adultery.
No, you just said she did.
No, she did commit it. He put Deuteronomy, the 24th chapter, the 4th verse. All right?
She laid with the other man.
But he said she did.
But you
No,
said
no, she did. Listen what I'm saying. Deuteronomy, the 24th chapter, he found some uncleanness in the woman. That's what that's talking about.
Right.
Because the woman couldn't go free if she committed adultery.
Right.
Because if she committed adultery, she was stoned to death. But we have a situation in Deuteronomy, the 24th chapter, where the man found some type of uncleanness in her. and he wrote her a bill of divorce, and now she leaves.
Right, because the unclean itself would be just idolatry.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay, so now, let's say that guy dies. She gets involved in another relationship. She's intimate with the guy, the whole 9 yards. He dies. The first husband, can he now take that woman back based upon what's going on in Jeremiah the 3rd chapter?
Yeah, because that guy died.
No.
Who said?
He died.
Okay, you said no.
Because
Right.
it says that. It says, if her former husband who sent her away may not take her again to be his wife.
Hallelujah. Absolutely. The Father didn't come to change any laws.
But I said no the first time.
No, exactly. No, I didn't say you were wrong. Because what happened was we had a couple of different of opinions here. You can forgive the woman.
Right.
Absolutely. Baby, I forgive you and everything like that. But listen, but no, we can't resume our relationship again because again the land has become greatly polluted.
Right.
You can forgive her. But and see, this is the thing. You can forgive a person and still move on. It doesn't mean that you have to reconcile that way back together with the person, because again, what we're trying to share here now is that Israel is a set apart people. And I'm adamant about this whole thing. It is very, very important for our sisters to be very, very careful who they have relations with. Very, very important, extremely important. But that's not what we're talking about here today. I just wanted to share here is that there are some that are teaching that when the man and the woman split, and she goes out and she's with now Tom, Dick, and Harry, that, okay, the woman says, you know what, I made a mistake, and then the first husband can say, listen, you know what, okay, baby, everything is good because of the blood of the Mashiyach, he can now take her back.
Whoa.
Yeah, yes, I mean, see, there's a whole lot that's going on here because this is preached real hard in the Christian church. So, I just want to make sure. Yes, Shemai, you had something.
So, like with the Mashiyach, right? God versus he'll be the first husband, right?
Exactly.
But he died, so that means he's and we're gonna go back to him, right?
Right.
So that's not the same as in like the question you asked.
It's because while the Mashiyach was alive, as he was doing his ministry, he could not take the nation of Yashra'al back as a bride. The only thing that he could do is what the prophets did before him, was to say teshuva, which means to return, and the word shu, which means to repent. He can do that for. That's all that he can do. So, like Moray has said, for example, Northern Kingdom was given a bill of divorce, and eventually, Southern Kingdom was kicked out of the house. The only way that the reconciliation can take place is that somebody has to die. And the one that died was the Mashiyach, bringing us back together again. Now let's look at our everyday relationships that we have now, because the land is greatly polluted. So, just like I was asking the question, now, if the Mashiyach is that example, if, again, the woman went out with all these other different men and everything now, because she still can't be a whore. She's not, women know more than us men. She just was not built that way to take on a lot of different vibrations. She can be forgiven. She can still make it to the kingdom. You see what I'm saying? She still has that opportunity.
She just can't go back to John.
But she can't go back to her husband because
he ain't dead.
And see, that's the other thing. And see, that's the other thing, because you know what's interesting is that when we begin to share what is actually going on with reconciling in Jeremiah the 4th chapter, in these bones here, when you're married to your ish, you have to be very, very careful, because like we talked about so many times before, every man has his own germ. So what's happening now when he comes, if you try to reconcile back with your former lover or husband, it's going to create a problem. The best that we can do for right now is that nobody's putting anybody to death. Nobody is stoning anybody. Your only redemption at that point, because of the blood of the Mashiyach, is following Torah from that point forward. You see what I'm saying? It's from that point forward. But as far as you now going back to your first Ish, after being with so many different men, you can't go back to him. Your redemption is through the blood of the Mashiyach, moving forward from that point forward. Because again, you can't keep going back into the land, and the woman represents the land. You can't do that. It's just like if you had an acre of land, anybody that's familiar with farming, it would not be a good idea to plant your watermelon seeds with your pepper seeds. I mean, even Akoti Rose, and she has a garden, Maisha has a garden. You have to make sure that even with gardening, and the woman represents the earth, is that there needs to be a certain amount of space between each seed so that it doesn't get contaminated. And we'll talk about this later. But even in the process where, and again, this is what I'm trying to say is that women are supposed to be here, way up here. And a lot of times they don't put themselves up here. Meaning this, even when a woman has been with a man, it's in Scripture how long she should be set apart before she even deals with another man. It is not 1 month, it is not 2 months, it's not 6 months, it is not a year. It's in Scripture. There's a certain amount of time that is allotted to a woman when she can even go back into a relationship with a man. Because she's a set-apart vessel is what she is. The man goes into the woman, and just like when we look at now how the priest goes into the set-apart place, the temple, it has to be consecrated and anointed before the priest now goes into the temple and leaves his gift at the altar. So there's a big misconception, all right, on how our women are supposed to be operating, the responsibility of the man, and the reason why I'm bringing out Jeremiah, the 3rd chapter, because look at this. In order for the groom, which is the Mashiyach, to tabernacle with his bride, it takes a certain amount of time for the groom to actually tabernacle with her. And just to give you an idea how long that it takes, is centered around the 7 festivals. And we'll do a class on that, but it's not easily found when you read it in English. And this is the reason why the Hebrew is very, very important. And so I'm saying all of this not to put women down. I'm saying this because women are set apart just like the men are set apart. Just like the men should be careful with the women that they're going into, and they need to also be able to understand restraint. Just because you see a beautiful woman and she's shaky and things like that, you don't immediately want to go into her. Because you're about to plant a seed in her, and that seed that you planted in her is going to be the product of these two coming together and bringing forth life. And you want to make sure that this woman now brings forth a righteous seed, okay, which is going to be your children, because we're trying to build a righteous nation here. But if you keep going into the woman with this man and this man and this man and this man, it's going to pollute her. So again, that blood of Mashiyach is very, very important. And so this is the reason why I was bringing out Jeremiah, the 4th chapter, where the Mashiyach had to die. Bringing us now back into covenant relationship with him. We have that opportunity. But the covenant relationship meal has not happened yet. It has not happened. The opportunity is there for us to walk in the blood of Yahusha HaMashiach. But the action